Okay, hello everyone. So let's start with the next topic, that is BH curve. Okay, so I hope you have gone through all the definitions which we have done in the last lecture. Okay, so now let us start with the next topic, that is BH curve. Okay, so basically B is nothing but we have seen that B is a magnetic flux density, right? And what do you mean by H? H is nothing but magnetic field strength, right? We know what is magnetic field, so the strength of that field is nothing but magnetic field strength. Okay, so uh, whenever we have to analyze the capability of or magnetic ability of any material, what we can do, we analyze on the basis of the BH curve. Okay, so you can say that is BH curve is nothing but a magnetization curve, and it is used to analyze the ability of a magnetic material. Okay, so how we can do that? We draw the graph. We draw the graph, and in that graph B is on y-axis and H is on x-axis, right? So you can see in the diagram, on the y-axis we have drawn the magnetic flux density, that is B, and on the x-axis there is a magnetic field strength, that is H. Okay, so this is basically a general graphical representation of a general, you can say, magnetic material. It is not a specific magnetic material. So it starts from origin, and you can see first there is a linear strip, that is it shows a linear relation between the flux density and the magnetic field strength. And after the one point, which is also known as knee, I have mentioned there, K and double E. After the knee point, what happens? The flux density becomes a saturate. Okay, what do you mean by saturate? It is neither increasing nor decreasing. It is constant after the point knee. Okay, so BH curve or magnetization curve is defined as a graphical relationship between the flux density B and magnetic field strength H, with the H plotted on x-axis and B plotted on y-axis. Okay, so this is simple definition of BH curve. Okay, now let's start with the next topic, that is the hysteresis loop. Okay, so what do you mean by hysteresis loop? Basically, hysteresis loop is a extension part of the BH curve. Okay, you can see here the BH curve starts from 0 and then start increasing, and after the knee point it becomes a saturate, right? Now in the hysteresis loop diagram, okay, you can see the origin, you can see the dotted line which is starting from the origin. Okay, so this is nothing but a BH curve. Okay, so what happened, starting linearly, and after one point it become a saturate, right? At a point A it's become a complete saturate, right? So after point A, what happens? There is no need of increasing the current, right? Because if we increase the current, still we get a constant flux density. So what we can do, we start decreasing the current. Okay, so start from the origin, goes to the point A, it becomes saturate, hence we start decreasing the current. So what is the natural behavior? That it start again, it should come from A to again origin. But what happened here? You can see this, it decreases on the other side, right? It decreases from A to B, right? So what happened at B? At B, the magnetization force, that is H, becomes 0, but still we are getting flux density, right? So that flux density is nothing but a residual flux density. Okay, are you getting my point? What happens after A? When we start decreasing the current, flux density is again decreasing, but at point A, B, H becomes 0, but still we are getting some flux density. So that is nothing but a residual magnetism, and that property is known as retentivity. Okay, now that flux density goes to 0. So at point C, you can see at the point C it becomes a 0. Okay, so this property is that coercive, right? You can also, that is a coercive force. What do you mean by coercive force? The force which brings the residual magnetism to 0. Okay, when we will go through the definition, you will really understand. For the time being, you just go through the loop. So starting from the origin, went to the point A, after then we start decreasing the current, it comes to the point B, then again we we again decrease the current, it comes to the point C, and we keep on decreasing the current till it goes to the saturation in the negative region. Okay, so at point D it is again to the negative region, and then what happens, then we start increasing the current, and again the loop starts, right? It start from D, it went to the E. Then what is the E? Here E we are getting the negative flux density, right? Then again E is going to F, and from F it's completing the loop to A, right? So this is nothing but hysteresis loop. Why it is a loop? Because it starts from the A and again it's ending from the A. So it will repeat this loop unless and until we are when we increase the current, it will repeat the same loop. Okay. So what is the hysteresis loop? The BH curve for one complete cycle of magnetization, that is increase in a current, right? And a demagnetization, that is decrease in a current. What do you mean by residual magnetism? The magnetic flux density that remains in a material when the magnetization force is 0. Okay, you can see here H is 0, still we are getting some flux density at point B, right? So that is nothing but a residual magnetism. What do you mean by retentivity? That ability, right? That ability to retain a certain amount of residual magnetic field when magnetizing force is 0 is nothing but a retentivity. And what is a coercive force, right? The amount of the reverse magnetic field which must be applied to the magnetic material to make the magnetic flux return to 0. Okay, let me explain you what is the coercive force, right? At the point B we are getting some flux, right? So what happens at the point C? That flux becomes 0, right? That flux density becomes 0. So that force which is required to wipe out or to clear the flux density is nothing but a coercive force. Okay. Now this is a simple comparison between the electric circuit and magnetic circuit, which is very important from the exam point of view. Okay. So as I told you as I explained in the last lecture, okay, the similarities between electric circuit and magnetic circuit. So this here is the same. Okay, let's go through it one by one. First one is definition. The closed path for the electric current is called the electric circuit. There it was a current, and what in a magnetic circuit? It is a flux. So what we have to do? Just replace the word current by flux. The closed path for the magnetic flux is called as a magnetic circuit. Okay. So relation between flux and current. Current is equal to EMF upon resistance, Ohm's law, right? Here current, here is the flux. Flux is equal to MMF upon reluctance, right? Current I is measured in ampere. Flux, that is phi, is measured in Weber. Here it is a EMF, that is electromotive force. There it is a MMF, that is a magnetomotive force. So what is the electromotive force? Driving force and measure in volt. Driving force means the force which is driving the electron, right? Which is moving the electron. So it's a same thing, just written in a different way. So if you want, you can write your own definition also, okay, which we have seen in the earlier lecture. Don't remember this, if you want, you can write the same formula which you have learned earlier. Okay, electromotive force is a driving force and measured in volt. Magnetomotive force is a driving force and it is measured in ampere turns, right? AT. So this is very important. Just go through this difference. One very small, there's one small topic, that is a leakage factor. Now, just to understand the leakage factor, just see carefully this diagram. There's a one frame, right? There's a one frame, but on the right side of the frame, you can see there is a partition. Means it is cut between, right? It is not complete frame. Okay, there's a small cut from the right side of the frame. Okay. Now it is on the left hand side. What we have done, we have one copper wire, we have binded one copper wire, and we given the supply, right? We know that when the supply is given to the winding, copper winding, what will happen? It will become an electromagnet, right? That is, flux will generate, and that flux will start flowing through that frame. That frame is made up of iron, right? So that flux will start flowing through that frame, that is iron core. And what happens? current cannot flow through the air, but flux can flow through the air, right? That is why the two magnet attract each other. Why? Because the flux is flowing through the air. So what happened? The cut part, the flux is still moving from that cut part, and it is completing its path, right? You can see this. You can see there is an air gap, and from that air gap also the flux is flowing, right? And that flux is nothing but a useful flux. We say that it is a useful flux or air gap flux. Why it is a useful flux? Because the flux which is flowing in the iron core, that is of no use. Okay. We will understand in the Faraday's law when we will learn afterwards. So this is a useful flux, and the total flux is producing by that winding is a total flux, right? So what is the leakage factor? The ratio of the total flux produced to the useful flux. Just remember this much: total flux upon useful flux is leakage factor. Okay. Let's go for the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So here you will understand why that was a it is known as a useful flux. Okay. So let's start with the Faraday's first law. There are two laws of electromagnetic induction: first law and second law. Okay. So let's start with the first law. Whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with the coil or a conductor, an EMF is induced in it. Okay. So what do you mean by that? Let us understand with this diagram. What Faraday is saying, that whenever the magnetic flux link with the coil, you can see there is a one conductor, okay, and from that conductor that a dotted line is emerging, right? So that is a flux. It means the flux is linking with that coil, right? And what happens if that flux is changing, right? Flux is changing means flux is not constant, right? Basically, there are two types of voltage: AC voltage and DC voltage. DC voltage is constant voltage, and AC voltage is changing voltage. It is alternating, 0 to maximum, then again 0, then negative maximum, then again 0. So it is a changing, right? So if the current or voltage is changed, flux will also change. So what is Faraday is saying? If the flux is changed and it is linked with the conductor, then there is a EMF induced in that conductor. Okay, so that is why I have highlighted that change. That word change is very important. Whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux, okay, if the flux is constant, EMF will not induce. Okay, whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with the coil or a conductor, and EMF is induced in it. Okay. On the other hand, we can say that whenever a conductor cuts the magnetic flux, okay, whenever a conductor cuts the magnetic flux, an EMF is induced in that conductor. So you can see here there is a two magnet, right? And between the two magnet, that is north pole, south pole, there is a fluxes are flowing. Flux is always flow from north pole to south pole, south pole. So if there is a conductor, you can see there is a one small rod. Okay, so that rod is nothing but a conductor. Assume that it is a conductor and it is cutting that flux. So what happens when the conductor cuts the magnetic flux? EMF is induced in that conductor. Okay, so this is the Faraday's first law. That is why, okay, now I have told you that why it is a useful flux, because you can see here, if the flux is flowing through the core, how can it be cut, right? It cannot be cutted, so that is of no use. Here the flux can be used because conductor can cut the flux, right? So that is why it is a useful flux. So I hope you understand what you mean by the Faraday's first law of electromagnetic induction. Okay. Now let us understand what is the second law. Okay. So the second law says that the magnitude of induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux linkage. Now what do you mean by that? Magnitude of induced EMF. Okay. So the magnitude means we don't have to concern with the direction, right? We have to go for magnitude, that is total, its power, right? So the magnitude of the induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change. Rate of change means how frequently it is changing. Okay, if it's changing is very fast, then the rate of the induced EMF is also very high. Okay. For example, just simple example, if this conductor is cutting the flux frequently, so the EMF is also induced, the rate of induced EMF is also very high. And if it is cutting only 1 or 2 or 3 times, very slowly it's cutting, so the EMF induced is also very less. Okay, so what is saying, if the rate of change of flux is high, the EMF induced is also very high. Okay, so this is second law. So this is a very important question from the exam point of view. What is the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? So just go through it. Okay, so it is very important. So just remember the two laws of Faraday's. Okay, so we stop here, and in the next lecture we will see the further topics. Thank you.